With the war being one of the more memorable arcs in Naruto Shippuden and in the whole franchise with everything that happened and unveiling a lot of strong characters, what if we ranked every character that we saw in the war, or at least every important character, not the fodder ninja that got slaughtered by Madara, but pretty much every character that we saw and every character that we know for the ultimate war arc ranking. Please, if you're new to the channel, make sure you subscribe, comment down below, as well as like the video. And since you're liking the video, make sure you hype it up so more people can see it. Slowly approaching 1,000 subscribers. Let's get to it. So stepping into the cast of what we see in the show, the first one at the bottom of the barrel is obviously Tenten. Now Tenten pretty much did nothing during the war, and even compared to some people that really didn't do much at all but still had like a little part to play, like Shikamaru with his IQ in the battle when it comes to fighting Ten-Tails, or even Ino with using her jutsu to connect everybody with it via like mind. But Tenten literally did nothing the whole war but just fought some Zetsu from what we saw on panel, and that's really all you could say that she did. She didn't really show any new powers. They kind of did allude to her being able to take these 6 past weapons and potentially being able to use them, but they didn't even do that. So I think it's fair to say, out of the people that we know, like the main cast and people that names that we got, we could just put her at the bottom because it's just Tenten. Like, it's nothing else you can really do to get her above anybody else. Next one above Tenten is going to be Ino. Now this is obviously a list when it comes to one-on-one capability, not in a group setting, and Ino's ability, even stated by Shikamaru, only really worked good with his shadow possession, so it's not really like a one-on-one ability. It'd be better if she has backup, but she did have great contributions to the war. But we're pretty much going off of like power and base power and how skilled you are and just how strong you are. I think this is a good spot for Ino. She's above Tenten for sure. I do believe that she'll be able to get inside Tenten's mind pretty easily and stop her from throwing weapons, and that's pretty much it. But fighting anybody else would just kind of be like a dead stop to her, especially if they know her ability and knows how it works and just don't get caught in it. But again, with Ino, you can't just get her any higher because she just doesn't show any physical feats or any feats that could get her higher than anybody else. Next one up, we have Shikamaru. Now again, this is not a battle of usefulness or a battle of when it comes to just how good they did in the war, because Shikamaru had really good plans in the war. This comes over to really like how good you are when it comes to fighting, the power, scaling, all that good stuff. And Shikamaru isn't weak, but at the same time his jutsu is pretty tiresome when it comes to his chakra. You even see that it kind of doesn't really last that long, and the more chakra you use, the lower it weeks out. He just makes it really good with his IQ and uses it to really good lengths when it comes to fighting. But then again, just people that can just overpower him or even know his ability that's above him that will be able to overpower him. And yeah, he took out Hidan by himself, something that, you know, Asuma didn't do, but at the same time that was with heavily prep time and also with the help of Kakashi and Ino, and them set up the plan to make sure that everything goes good. So you really could say that he's higher, but again, it's really based off like your power, and we just know that Shikamaru really wouldn't be able to do good against a lot of characters in the war by himself. Now in the same block, I got Kiba and Hinata. Now we see Hinata standing back to back with Neji in the war, but then we also see later deep in the war that she just now gained the 64 palms and never could achieve that until like pushing past her limits. And we also see Kiba later in the war use a way better beast mimicry jutsu. So you could really put them on the same ballpark, but Hinata could slightly have the edge. But I couldn't really come to a decisive pick because I'm not putting Kiba above Hinata, but at the same time Hinata really doesn't show anything too great, at least in the war, as far as something that could just make her go right past Kiba. So I just put them in the same block. It really depends on your view of who you think is stronger, but I would lean probably towards more to Hinata, because if Hinata ends up touching Kiba, then he can't use none of his jutsu. But at the same time, you could say that Kiba's Fang over Fang would be faster than what Hinata could dodge or evade, but it's really depending on how you view both of them, but it really doesn't matter after. Next one up, we're gonna have Kakuzu, because Kakuzu was kind of fodder. We saw that he went from, you know, needing to have Kakashi and all of them take him on to people like Katetsu and Izumo to be able to hold him down with the help of Darui. So it wasn't too much of a big thing to take on him. Now obviously the reanimations are weaker here, and you know, Kakuzu is one of those people that kind of has like a little bonus, given that you could kill him many times and he's still there. So even not saying that Kakuzu was like stronger than Kakashi in the war, but it just, you know, he has that type of thing where you can kill him as many times and he's still there because of the hearts, and he was literally taking hearts while being in the war. But then again, they were able to hold him down and pretty much be able to take him out pretty easy. Wasn't like he was just some big threat, right? So next up, I have Sasori and Deidara. Now you could put them on the same ballpark because we can see that Deidara, when he was alive, said that Sasori's stronger than Deidara, but then you can kind of give it to Sasori, given with all his puppets as well as his poisons. It really does lose to what you kind of think. So I'm just gonna put them in the same block. But again, with Reanimated, they both pretty much got taken out the same fashion. Sai and Kankuro were able to gang up and be able to take them down. So you really could say that they're on the same ballpark, at least while Reanimated. And then again, they are weaker while being Reanimated, but they just kind of look like they were on par with each other. But either way, slice the pie, I would probably give bit to Sasori being a little bit weaker than Deidara, and then Deidara being over Sasori, but it really doesn't matter what you say here. They're around the same ballpark and they both got beat in the same fashion. So next up we have Sai. We saw that, like I said, Sai was able to take out Deidara and Sasori with the help of Kankuro, and all of that we see that he was in the battle with Kakashi and Guy and all his platoon going against Haku and Zabuza. He kind of got snuck up on really bad with Haku's ice mirrors and almost pretty much got killed until Kakashi intervened. So that's where I probably would place him. And then again, Sai really didn't do much in the war, at least later in it, when we saw in the war when all of Konoha 12 was doing it like team attacks or whatever, trying to hype each other up. He went in by himself and really didn't do much. Compared to all the other Konoha 12, he really wasn't impressive. But Sai isn't weak. We saw when, you know, before the war, he was kind of seen to be stronger than a base Naruto before the Rasen Shuriken, and really that's all we really see Sai do other than that thing that he did when he first met Naruto. So we don't really know anything else about Sai to put him above anybody else from this point. Next up, we're gonna put Haku and Zabuza. Now again, we saw that Haku and Zabuza pretty much got beat the same fashion that they did in like actual living, and we even saw that a base Lee and base guy were able to intercept Haku's ice mirrors, and even stated by Zabuza, with these ice mirrors he's even stronger than himself. And then not only that, we know that with the scan from Haku potentially having light speed with the ice mirrors, and base Lee and base guy were able to intercept that. If you go off of that feeder statement and like take it for certain, that means that just in their base they're moving faster than Haku's fastest attack and fastest speed and just base. And then not only that, again, they got beat pretty much the same fashion. It wasn't really too hard for Kakashi. He did have help, but the mist was around him, so him being able to be one of the only people that could fight him as well and still take them out made sense. So nothing really put him out. It's just that echelon of power has kind of just been left, to be honest. Now next up, we're gonna have Edo Asuma. Now the reason why he's higher than what you may think is because he was able to take on, you know, pretty much his whole team by himself while being the Edo, but essentially being weaker. But we already know that Choji was kind of messing up the tag team and the tandems of attacks that they had because he really didn't want to fight him. But we do know, you might be saying he got beat by Hidan, so how is he higher than Kakuzu? Well, we do know that Kakuzu and Hidan have certain buffs that kind of give them that edge and power. Like for example, their edge when it comes to immortality, because they wouldn't know Hidan is immortal going into it, and they also would know that if you get hit by him, he eats your blood, you pretty much die. And Hidan was able to beat Asuma by just damaging himself pretty much. So it's not really say that he beat Asuma like in a battle of like fighting ability, but just his ability really. And with same thing with Kakuzu having all those hearts, they were able to take down Kakuzu. It's just that he had all those hearts, so he just kept coming back, to be honest. So Asuma one-on-one with them, knowing their abilities and just actually one-on-one fight, I could see him being able to do pretty well against them, at least in the confines of what we saw in the war, with him using more jutsus than we've seen, because he didn't have his two daggers like that he usually used, so he can use jutsus, as well as him being able to use the jutsus that he learned at the Fire Palace as well. I do believe that one-on-one without the help of Hidan and without the help of Kakuzu, he could take either one of them on, but that's kind of where he stops here. Next up, I'm gonna have Lee here. Now I feel like this is a good place for Lee, you know, not on the latter end of being the weakest, but still not really too strong to put him higher. Again, we saw him when he was operating with a base Guy. We saw that he was a real big help with helping Guy while he was in the 8th gate, being able to kind of keep up with, making sure that everybody was able to assist him. But other than that, we don't really see too many exciting things from Lee to put him too much higher, and I do believe that he's not stronger than anybody else after this, to be honest. We just know for a fact that he isn't, because of what we saw in the dream world with how he was wishing he beat Neji and Naruto. So I just think this is a good place for him. Next up, we got Shino. Now I do think Shino is stronger than the lower lesser characters for sure, and he's kind of underrated. We really never see Shino really operate to his full capacity in Naruto, but I do believe that he's stronger than Lee, people like Kiba, people like Hinata, all around with his bugs and just all the applications with them. But it's just not much to put him above anybody else after, because anybody else after was taking on like Kage level threats and doing pretty good against them. So it's not really much to put him higher than where he is, but I do believe he's stronger than like the lower echelon of characters. Next up, we're gonna put Neji, Kankuro, as well as Temari here. Now we really don't see much from them individually, especially Neji, but we do know that Neji was always stronger than Lee, and we already do know that Lee was never able to beat Neji, and we know that Temari is one of the strongest wind styles on the alliance, except for, you know, Naruto. And we do know that Kankuro was stated by Lady Chiyo to outdo Sasori as well, and even took his puppet. So I feel like they're operating all in the ballpark, and even in beginning of Shippuden, they were the only ones that got promoted to Jonin. So I think they're all pretty much on the relativity of the same level, and I do believe that Neji could be able to take on somebody like Kankuro, and I do believe that Kankuro could be able to take on somebody like Temari, but at the same time, Temari would not have a problem taking on them as well. So you can kind of put them all in the same ballpark with their various abilities, but but it's not really much to put any one of them above the other. You could say that Neji may have the lead with his Byakugan and could just be able to be way more better when it comes to taijutsu. And Ankuro and Tamari are far range fighters, so if Neji got close in and was able to hit their chakra points, he pretty much takes it. But then again, they're pretty much all operating on the same level. We saw Tamari was able to hold back the Raikage for a little while until Naruto popped up, but yeah, I feel like this is a good spot for them. Next one up, we're gonna have Kimimaro. Now Kimimaro is a little bit iffy because we really don't see him fight anybody crazy, but we just saw him standing side by side with Lady Chiyo and was also going head on with the KCM1 Naruto. But we know they got pretty handled pretty easily, and we know that Lady Chiyo even said in her prime that she used to kind of operate and lead fight with Hanzo many times, and with Edo bodies, you know, people like the third Hokage coming back from being not as old and you know, weak as he was when he was alive to being a little bit more comparable to the reanimated Hokage. I would say that Lady Chiyo got like a pretty good buff, having better stamina and being closer to her prime, but probably not in it, being weaker as an Edo. So Kimimaro kind of keeping up with that and being around there killing some samurai. It's not crazy to put him above anybody else on this list. You could put him above people like Darui and people like Neji, and then with his KK Genkai ability and his curse marks and all the good things with Kimimaro, but we just really don't see much from Kimimaro to put him like on that echelon of being like a top rated skilled ninja though. Now next one up, I have Darui. Now Darui could be potentially higher because he was able to take on Kikinku and Gigaku, but we do know that the main reason why he was able to pretty much execute the fight was because of the chakra weapons, or these Sage Assist power weapons that were being used there. I don't think he could outright beat them with pure strength and power, but I do believe that he's pretty much stronger than every character that I've named before. He literally ended up becoming the Raikage and just pretty much showed better feats, better scaling, better abilities, and just being over them. He was made captain of his platoon for a reason, being able to be the right hand man of the Raikage. Pretty strong character, pretty underrated at that, and I think it's pretty safe to say he's pretty much stronger than every character I mentioned, aside from maybe Kankuro and Neji and maybe Tamari. Now next one up, we're gonna have Raza. Now the thing about Raza, we never see him fight full power because, you know, as an Edo, he was brought back weaker, and while alive, he got beat by Orochimaru off screen, and he was kind of able to hold off a Gaara for a little small time, and then after that, he kind of just got sealed away. And even said Gaara surpassed him long ago, so he could be akin to Gaara being like younger, like the Gaara that we saw during the Chunin exam. So I feel like this is a good place for him because with his sand is very versatile, and he has the gold sand, so I do believe he would be able to like take on the characters I stated before, you know, being able to do similar things as Gaara, but the people after him will just have a better time being able to deal with the sand, because it's always not about how physically strong you are. It's certain abilities and hacks that will be able to make you take out certain people given the situation. Like if, for example, Neji's just on like a field of sand and, you know, Raza's there, I feel like he would have the advantage for sure, especially with Neji being a close range fighter and Raza being able to beat that. So I think this is a good spot for Raza. Next up, we're gonna have Choza and Choji. Now Choji got a really big amp during the war, putting him pretty much on the same caliber as his daddy. We know that his dad was able to fight Dun as well as be a main driving force in the company that he was in, and was able to be there with Darui as well, and Darui was able to take on, you know, Kinkaku and Gigaku. So Choji really got really strong actually, and with his match power, you know, with his wings and stuff, he's up there with his father, if not over him. He was able to take on the Ghetto statue, and we know how strong the Ghetto statue is, so it's really crazy to say that he's on the same level as like the lower caste, but on his base standpoint level, he isn't crazy strong, but when he's going all out and actually has the confidence, he's stronger than them. And even Shikamaru, as far as part one, always just say that Choji was stronger than him, and just Choji lacked the confidence, you know what I mean? So this is a good spot for Choji and his dad. His dad really doesn't do much but fight with Choji for a bit, and after that he stays later with Don just talking for most of the war. So this is a really good spot for him. Next one up, I'm gonna have Lady Chino and Hanzo. Now Hanzo is definitely stronger than Lady Chiyo, but we know just off of lore from Lady Chiyo, all the time she used to fight people like Hanzo, people like Tsunade, and we know that Hanzo was able to take on the 3 legendary signing potentially underwater, and even when he was alive, he was seen as the strongest person to literally ever exist in his era. His lore just pretty much makes him be able to put this spot in zone right here, but we saw that Mifune was able to beat him, although him being weaker being due to being an Edo, but then again, he's in a younger, more useful body than what we saw when he was killed. So you could say that, yeah, he was probably weaker than his prime for sure, but stronger than what he would have been while being alive. And Mifune is also older as well, and older than when they first fought, so you could say that he's not even in his prime anymore. But then again, I think these are 2 good spots for them. Nothing really really suggesting that they're too much higher. Now, obviously, next up I have Mifune. He was able to take out Hanzo, somebody that we know that's stronger than Lady Chiyo, because he was pretty much able to take on the 3 legendary signings. So I think this is a good spot for Mifune. Now, obviously, again, Hanzo is not at his full strength here, or at least the prime Hanzo that we saw that fought Lady Tsunade, Jiraiya, and Orochimaru, but still he's pretty close to that, I would think so, given that again he's operating in an Edo body that's younger and more better than his alive older body. So I do believe that this Hanzo isn't too far that weak, and Mifune was able to take him out pretty easily in their battle. So I think this is a good spot putting him there just off of that feat. Now next one up we have Dawn and Kikaku and Gikaku. Now I do believe that nobody that I said before this will be able to take them on by themselves, like in a one-on-one manner. So just off that, I do believe that this is a good place to go. And we know that Dawn's jutsu is pretty broken, pretty much can transfer his soul, not his mind, but his soul into people, and that's pretty broken in itself. And we know that Kikaku and Gikaku, based off lore, was able to fight the second Hokage with a platoon, even do a surprise attack on the second Hokage and the second Raikage. And it was so crazy to the point where Raikage thought that he would have to go to the front lines by himself, or go to that battlefield by himself to take them on. So I think this is a good place for them, and not being too high, but definitely being stronger than, you know, the people before, you know, also having the 9 tails with the Sage of 6 pound weapons. A good place to put them for sure, especially Dawn as well. We saw that it took a barrier just to hold them down, and then not only that, Chosen was still having a little problems with them as well. I think it's a good spot for them for sure. Now next one up, I just want to make sure we understand that this is one-on-one compatible fight, so we're not putting them in their group powers or how strong they were when fighting in a group. We're just talking about how they would stack up to each other one-on-one. Next one up is going to be Mei, the 5th Mizukage. Now Mei's Keka Genkai does put her, you know, being a little strong, but when it comes to physicality, like, she doesn't have strength like the 5th Hokage, and she doesn't have speed like the Raikage, but her Keka Genkai is kind of what keep her afloat. And she's not weak by no means, but at the same time, just not strong enough to put her on the higher ups on the other Kage. And I really don't think I gotta explain it. I think she did like the least best against Madara. She really didn't do pretty much anything. She kind of hit him with the water style jutsu and, you know, use her lava, but even Madara's like, this jutsu like this is too weak or too horrible for me to absorb. So I don't really think that she can be higher than any other Kage, but she's not weak at all though. Next one up, I got Tsunade. Now Tsunade's atomic regeneration, I could say that could put her higher, but we know she can't hold it forever, and after she ends up using it and tapping out of chakra, she kind of, you know, either regresses back to being old or is pretty much useless after that. But off of her base strength, even Madara said that her power is over the Raikage, but we do know that the Raikage isn't weak when it comes to power, and also is faster than Tsunade for sure. Was able to force Naruto to kind of, you know, push past his limits and teleport past him. And we even saw that Killer Bee was saying, "Oh, brother's really finna kill Naruto" when he went top speed. So I do believe that Raikage is over Tsunade for sure, and I do believe that people like Gar as well, with all his versatility as well as his sand, as well as what he can do with it, is over Tsunade as well. Tsunade was always kind of seen around Orochimaru, and I think that at this point Raikage and Gar are over that, at least enough to be able to take on Tsunade one-on-one. Now I think this is a good spot for Gar, who is next up on the list. I do believe that he could take out Tsunade like I said, but we know that the Raikage is fast enough to be able to dodge his sand. But we do also know that Gar's sand was able to intercept the Raikage trying to go for a finishing move on Sasuke. But we also see that the second Mizukage was saying that his sand was too slow. So you could say that Raikage would be able to get past Gar's sand if he's going top speed like he was against Naruto that we saw when Naruto was trying to come to the war. And if you're able to hit Gar, then you pretty much win the fight, because Gar isn't a close range fighter. But we do know that Gar also has his sand armor and it's a lot of things, but I do believe that the Raikage would be able to get through his defenses and be able to take down Gar with his speed for sure. Now this one up is obviously going to be the Raikage. He was able to be pretty seen as equal to a base Killer Bee, until Killer Bee got mentally ill, was able to break past the Raikage. And we saw that Raikage had went to V2, but before he wasn't at his top speed, because we saw that Raikage had went top speed and Killer Bee was out. He's at top speed, he's really finna kill Naruto. So you could say he was still holding back against B, but being just base was able to overpower the Raikage. And we saw that B was able to operate with the KCM1 Naruto before the clones was sent out, and even was fighting next to KCM1 Naruto in base still while going against the reanimated Jinchuriki. So I do believe that Raikage will be over than everybody I said one-on-one, but again, his speed just, you know, helps him out a lot, because he's able to be faster than all of them at their top speed, since he was able to force KCM1 Naruto to go faster than what he needed to. Pretty much speeds equal to the fourth Hokage, at least in the Jonin era of his life. So I think this is a good spot for the Raikage. Now the next one up is going to be a Noiki. I feel like one-on-one with the Noiki, I feel like he beats all of them with his abilities, having the weighted boulder jutsu. If he touches one of them, he can pretty much make them not be able to move. His particle style as well, he can fly. He just way more versatile than we saw. He was the most impressive in the fight with Madara, in my opinion, maybe besides Tsunade, given that Tsunade was the main thing keeping them alive with her healing and, you know, having her regeneration. But Anoiki really was helping out. He went and saved the Raikage from the Genjutsu, weighed down the Susanos. His particle style really played a big part in damaging Madara. So I do think that Anoiki one-on-one be able to take them out, especially if a particle style jutsu hits on any one of them. Like per se Tsunade won't be able to regenerate if she's literally atomized. Same thing with Mei, same thing with Raikage if he could be able to get it to land with his speed. But then again, Anoiki can fly. If he touches the Raikage, he can weight the Raikage down, making him even slower. So I think Anoiki just outclassed everybody, even Gaara as well. So this is a good spot for him for sure. Now next up I have the third Raikage, the second Tsuchikage, and the second Mizukage. Now we know that the second Tsuchikage and the second Mizukage are on the same ballpark, are equal because they killed each other while fighting when they were alive. And we know that even the second Tsuchikage even said that Anoiki wouldn't be able to beat him without the help of the Kazekage, that being Gaara. And we know that while fighting the Mizukage even said, "How are you guys gonna take me down?" And Anoiki was like, "I was hoping you would tell us." And he was pretty much giving Gaara and Anoiki a run for his money the most of the fight. And with the third Raikage, he was pretty much only taken down by himself. I mean, Naruto was able to do it, you know, with his Sage mode, but it's because he got intel on this scar on his body and just had to get him to hit him himself. And even Naruto's strongest attack while being a clone from KCM did nothing to slow him down. And even KCM, when Naruto was asking, "Is he human?" So it's like the third Raikage one-on-one with every character I stated before this would pretty much beat them, going off of just that, because I don't think anybody that I said before this has an attack strong enough or stronger than KCM1 Naruto's Rasen Shuriken. I think that's pretty much a fact. So I don't think anybody would be able to take down the third Raikage just off that. And then not only that, I do see that again, second Tsuchikage, second Mizukage being able to have two Kages have to fight them and still not really being able to take them down. I think it's fair to say one-on-one he'll be able to beat them. So I think this is a good rankings for them. Now next one up, I got Sakura. Now Sakura could be lower or higher depending on how you picture it, because again, that statement was kind of like just trying to hype up Team 7 kind of being back, but we saw that she was pretty much caught up to a KCM1 Naruto and a EMS Sasuke after fighting Kabuto. So based off that statement and her, you know, summoning in tandem with them, her having her atomic regenerations as well, her strength being pretty much better than Tsunade's, you couldn't say that it's crazy to say, but at the same time, you could put her lower or even lower than Tsunade depending on how you picture that statement. But for the sake of the video and for the sake of the statement of her literally fighting right next to Naruto and Sasuke and her being pretty much right there with them in the three signing or the three signing revamped deadlock, so I think it's a good spot to put her right here. So next up, I'm gonna have the reanimation Shuriken. Now obviously one-on-one, not all of them fighting in a group. It's really hard to say because we really didn't see much of them, and while alive they were able to be taken out by Akatsuki members, but the amps they got were allowing them to be able to fight a KCM1 Naruto as well as a base B. So you could definitely put at least one of them seniorly, because we saw with Boyo release, Han was able to just completely out eclipse KCM1 Naruto, and we know that the other Jinchuriki could be around that caliber, a little bit lower. Again, it's not really much to suggest that we know that they're equal or not, but just being safe, we can put them all here. Not really over KCM1 Naruto one-on-one, all of them fighting one-on-one, but as a group they were able to do some really good damage against Killer B and KCM1 Naruto. So I think it's just a safe spot for them to go right here. So here I got a fresh EMS Sasuke and a KCM1 Naruto. Now we know that EMS Sasuke, while fighting with Itachi, was seen as like almost close or pretty much equal to Itachi during that fight, but we know that again Itachi was over Sasuke when it comes down to it. You know, having the Izanagi, having the Totsuka blade, having the Yadamir, he just has a better Susanoo. He's pretty much a better Sasuke still at this point. Sasuke is deeper into the war, but you could say that Sasuke could be over this KCM1 Naruto potentially, but I do believe that Naruto does have some certain implications that could also get him above Sasuke. I don't think that Sasuke at this point is faster than KCM1 Naruto, but at the same time with this Chidori, it does amp his speed, being able to potentially be able to keep up with Naruto. But just going off what KCM1 Naruto was able to do, flipping back to Raikage, I do believe that KCM1 will have it in speed, but then again, you could argue that Sasuke Susanoo will be strong enough to be able to hold up from Naruto's attacks like the Rasen Shuriken. It's really kind of like which one you think is more or hacksy really when it comes to it, because we know that KCM1 Naruto can't stay in it forever, but we know that with Sasuke having EMS, he might be able to outstamina KCM1 Naruto, because KCM1 Naruto can't be in that form for that long, especially operating without being, you know, in cooperation with Kurama. So you could really kind of go either way with this. It wouldn't really matter to me either way, but they're just definitely equal. We even see, you know, Naruto actually befriending the Nine Tails and end up unlocking his power at, you know, pretty much full capacity. And KCM1, when Sasuke arrived to the war, he was pretty much dead even with Naruto even then, and even kind of stopped Obito from killing Naruto, saying, I'm gonna sever the past, basically thinking that he could beat that KCM Naruto, not knowing that Naruto has KCM2, and they're pretty much able to match chakra ratios. Now Naruto has been fighting in the war for like a day and a half at this point, and Sasuke hasn't done no fighting but against Kabuto, but he was pretty much still equal to that KCM1 Naruto even after acquiring Kurama's power, you know, pretty much freely. So I do think that they're around the same, if not Sasuke is a little bit over, Naruto could be over. It really doesn't matter. Now I have a Guy and Kakashi. Now obviously Guy before 8th Gate, and this is Kakashi before Dual Mangekyo Sharingan, but we saw arriving to fight with Naruto and Killer Bee. They are both pretty collectively on the same level, pretty much right beside each other, while Guy entered the 6th Gate and Kakashi had his Chidori active as well, pretty much being the same speed. They were able to take on the Shinshiriki, and even fighting Obito, they were pretty much able to keep up with Obito and Naruto as well, and even outpace Naruto. We even see that Naruto was saying that Obito is too strong to get a hit in, but we see people like Kakashi and Guy being able to go in tandem with Obito, being able to put openings in place for things to go the way. And then Kakashi with Kamui obviously gets boosted pretty highly with that ability, being able to snipe somebody's head off. Yeah, I think this is a good spot for them. I think that they're definitely over KCM1 Naruto, and definitely over that early showing of EMS Sasuke, at least in the beginning, but later in the war they definitely get stronger than Guy and Kakashi for sure. And we even see Kakashi go one-on-one with Obito, with Obito not being able to phase. They are pretty much even, and we know that Obito with the Rinnegan and with the Sharingan isn't weak by no means as well. But there is cases for KCM1 Naruto and Sasuke with, you know, his EMS to be over them for sure. But just seeing what Kakashi and Guy was able to do, being able to keep up and do better than the KCM1 Naruto while fighting Obito, I don't think it's crazy to put them here definitively, at least to the point where they're like not crazy over them. But I do believe that just off of their abilities, having the 7th Gate, having the Kamui, they would be able to close that gap with KCM1 Naruto and with early EMS Sasuke. Next one up, I'm gonna have an Edo Itachi. Now we know that Edo Itachi was pretty much over Sasuke when Sasuke first lost EMS. Sasuke didn't really surpass Itachi until later in the war when he started fighting in tandem with the Naruto and KCM2. And also with his Totsuka Blade and his Yaramir, I do believe that he would be able to beat everybody I said one-on-one before this, like Guy or like Kakashi or like Naruto and KCM1 or even Sasuke. We know that Naruto, if he got hit by Tsukuyomi, he still wouldn't have nothing to do against it earlier on in his KCM1 usage, because he didn't have the help of Kurama, so he would kind of just be stuck. But I do believe that he would be able to combat Itachi like we saw regularly when they first appeared. But Itachi, you know, actually going all out, going for the kill with Izanagi, with all the things that he has at his disposal, I do believe that he'll be able to fight Naruto. And I think it's pretty seen that he's at least above this case on Naruto, because again, he was still stronger than EMS Sasuke, who went to the war and was pretty much on par with KCM1 Naruto. So I think this is a good spot for Itachi. Next one up, I'm gonna have Killer Bee. Now, one of the things about Killer Bee, in the beginning, like when we first called Killer Bee, he wasn't as strong, but later he just got really strong. At his base, he was able to outdo the Raikage, mentally amped of course, but without using his lariat with his V2 cloak or anything like that. We even see that in just base, he was literally operating in the world with KCM1 Naruto the whole time. Even against the Shinshiriki for the first part of it, he was actually kind of helping Naruto and protecting him, and still just base. And obviously when he goes into his, you know, his 8 tails transformation, he's even stronger. He has his ceiling jutsu as well. He has the tail beast bomb. He still has his V2. His sword style, I think it's pretty definitive that he's above Itachi too, because just in base, he was able to combat a 3 Tomoe Itachi pretty goodly. And this is without V2. This is not going into the 8 tails chakra, and this is obviously without 8 tails assistance. Now the only con that Itachi would have for winning is obviously if Killer Bee get hits with the Tsukuyomi. That's really much the only thing. He has a counter for the Amaterasu. Obviously we saw later, well at the end of the manga, that Naruto could just use his 9 tails chakra to shrug off Amaterasu, so Killer Bee could definitely do the same thing. Only really win con for Itachi is just Tsukuyomi, but Killer Bee was actually a beast and really actually helping Naruto stay afloat during the war until Naruto got KCM2. So next one up, we're gonna have Nagato and Kabuto. Now this one is kind of weird to me, but not because we know that Kabuto was really hacksy here, and he was able to take on obviously Sasuke and Itachi, both not going all out because they couldn't kill him, because if they killed him then the reanimation jutsu will stay active. But Kabuto is also at a disadvantage as well because he couldn't really do nothing about Itachi. He literally chopped Itachi in half multiple times or impaled him, but he was an Edo body, so he wasn't dying, and he can't release the Edo jutsu because he pretty much loses if he does that. So he couldn't really, take care of Itachi really how he wanted to, and he was blatantly over Sasuke. He was able to dodge Sasuke's fastest attack, the Susanoo arrow, and that Susanoo arrow was able to be so fast that it had to force Kakashi to pretty much use his Kamui just to evade it, and he barely did that, and that was earlier in like the 5 Kage summit. And we know that Sasuke got stronger after that and he was still able to dodge it. So I do believe that Kabuto was over Sasuke when it comes to that, because that Susanoos are faster than the wielder itself. So yeah, I think Kabuto is a good place. But Nagato on the other hand, having all his abilities in one, having Shinra Tensei, having Shibaku Tensei, having the absorption pain, having soul snatching, Nagato was pretty scary. I'm not even gonna lie. And one-on-one, you could say that he could beat everybody I said before this, including Kabuto. But then Kabuto was hacks as well, having all the sound 4 in him, having the ability just can make your whole body shut down and literally do nothing with his attack that he used on Itachi and Sasuke. So it's crazy. You could really kind of flip them here, but I do believe that you could probably give the edge to Kabuto with him having Sage Mode, his Sentry being up, so he would be able to evade Nagato. But again, you could give it to Nagato too. So it's really how you see it, but it really wouldn't matter to me which one you put here. Now next up, we're gonna have the second Hokage and the third Hokage, Edo. Now the second Hokage, we saw that he was basically able to go against an alive Madara for a little while and actually be able to do pretty good against him. We saw that second Hokage was pretty much able to rile up his chakra and only got backed down by Hashirama. He even made EMS Sasuke sweat, as well as everybody around him sweat as well. And the third Hokage being a little bit better off than what he was alive, because again the third Hokage was in the latter ends of his Hokage term, but having the Edo body being better with stamina, you could say that he'll be closer or even over the second Hokage for sure, pretty much being able to use all his jutsu that he has pretty much freely, having near infinite chakra as an Edo. I do believe that they will be way more closer and comparable here for sure, but it's not really any crazy feats from the third Hokage to put him too far above Tobirama. But then again, I think this is a good caliber, a good place to put them, because I don't think either one of them are over KCM2 Naruto, especially not having any AP attacks that would be able to handle his Kurama avatar for sure. Now next one up, I have KCM2 Naruto. After this, he was pretty much able to eclipse all the tail beasts and literally fling away all their bijus, and with KCM2 he was able to have enough chakra to supply it to the whole Shinobi Alliance. And even Hashirama was like, he almost has as much chakra as me, and even made Sasuke be like, whoa, just how much chakra Naruto has, and pretty much rethink that whole idea of severing past bonds. But I just don't see him being over Obito still at this point, because Obito was still able to combat a Naruto after going into KCM2 a second time, and also still be pretty strong with his phasing ability. Really only by the help of Kakashi was they really able to get through that, and I don't see Naruto being able to do that one-on-one just yet, at least not to the point where he'll be able to beat Obito, especially Obito having the Rinnegan, especially Obito still again having his phasing ability, having all the hacks that he had. So still not over Obito by himself, but definitely over than everybody I said before this. Now next up, I'm gonna have Sasuke later in the war, like right before he got Sage 6 past power. I do believe that he gets stronger than KCM2 regular Naruto after going through more battling, because we saw that he was able to go against an alive Madara, and alive Madara was like nice moves, and with his Susanoo he was able to combine around KCM2 Sage Mode Naruto. So I do believe that Sasuke by the end, before he got Sage 6 past power, he did get a big enough stronger to be able to go against KCM2 Naruto. Now depending on if you think he wins or not is really kind of up to you, but again I think he definitely did get strong enough to combat him, going from kind of looking on and seeing how strong Naruto is to kind of looking at it and be like, okay, like he could actually kind of fight against it. But again, putting him above, it's just more like a safe route to take, because again he was able to take on that alive Madara, and we saw that alive Madara was pretty much able to foderize all the biju, and just it was crazy what alive Madara was doing. So this is just a safe bet for Sasuke right here, putting him rivals 4 stages 6 path power, putting above KCM2 Naruto. Now I have KCM Minato and Obito. Now I definitely do believe that KCM2 Minato is over Obito, and we saw that just in base he was stated to be over Tobirama when it comes to teleportation, and adding a KCM2 amp on top of that, it just would make it even crazier. And then also having the mark on Obito, I do believe that he would be able to beat Obito. He already knows how his ability works. After fighting him before, he would just be more better, more stronger, more faster with more chakra reserves. Obito having a Rinnegan would help, but he really couldn't use none of the abilities from it because of how much chakra draining it is. So you could say that he really would just be the same Obito, but just obviously stronger, you know, growing a lot stronger in this war and just over time since he fought Minato. But Minato got a really big amp with having Kurama, so I do believe that Minato will be over Obito. But Obito and Minato are definitely over than everybody I said before this, at least not by a crazy amount, but they're over them for sure. Now I have KCM2 Sage Mode Naruto, Madara, Edo Madara at least, and Hashirama. Now obviously KCM2 Sage Mode Naruto is most likely at the bottom of this list when it comes to them two being all in the same bracket, but at the same time him adding Sage Mode on top of KCM2 just gives him better buffs, literally making everything go up more, having better sensory than he did before, having stronger jutsus. But we do know that with Hashirama's wood style and Madara having that wood style too as well, they can pretty much control Biju. So I do believe that it kind of just negs Naruto's form, but he's over everybody before this for sure. So I think it's pretty definitive, and Hashirama and Madara pretty much being almost close to each other, but Hashirama just being blatantly stronger though. But nobody can beat Madara but Hashirama. Madara even said it, and it's kind of implied that because when they pull up, only person that's able to challenge Madara is Hashirama. But we know that Madara had really big buffs here, having 2 Rinnegan, having those abilities, having Hashirama cells as well, and even a weaker Hashirama was still able to beat him and kind of like, you know, be over him still. So I think that it's pretty definitive that these people are in their own tier, but Hashirama is still stronger than all of them. And this one up we have Jubito. I think this is pretty understandable. You couldn't even fight Jubito without Sage Mode, so that easily excludes him for like most of the people are already said, because it would just not damage him. The only people that really could fight him and actually damage him is Alive Madara with Sage Mode from Hashirama and Naruto and maybe Minato, but we already know he can't really use Sage Mode that well. So nobody on this list would be able to even damage Obito except for actually Sage Mode Kabuto. But again, Obito just hacks out too, but also having the True Seeking Orbs, if you touch that, it literally nullifies ninjutsu. You can't use nothing with it. It can't damage it, can destroy Edo Tenseis, and they can't regenerate. So he could potentially just take out Edo Madara, and Madara wouldn't be able to fight him without Sage Mode. So I think it's pretty safe to say that Obito is above everybody I just mentioned before. Even Hashirama flat out stated that Obito is stronger than him, or Jubito is stronger than him, even if he absorbed all the clones that he had remaining, stated by Tobirama, it still wouldn't be enough. I think it's just definitive that he plays here, and this is where we start getting to that echelon of power where, like, you know, the main cast just got left behind. Now next up I'm gonna put Alive Madara after absorbing Sage Mode from Hashirama, because at that point he's pretty much over everybody again, because we saw that Sage Mode, Naruto with KCM2 and Sasuke with the help of Gang, they were all able to take out Obito, but again they couldn't do nothing against Alive Madara with Sage Mode from Hashirama, and all the Biju with Gaara, with Naruto, with Sasuke. None of them could put down Madara while he was alive, and just with one look from his Limbo Jutsu, he knocked everybody out. So I think it's pretty safe to say that at this point Madara has it while being alive, and it just gets worse later on when it comes to just the power that just started coming out with everybody after this point. So next up we have 8th Gate Guy. Now 8th Gate Guy isn't over 6th Path Madara. I think that's pretty much shown because he really needed a lot of help from Lee and Minato, and he couldn't touch to shoot the True Seeking Orbs. If he did, he would have literally just died, and Minato saved him from getting hit by those True Seeking Orbs by Lee throwing Minato's kunai, as well as Kakashi Kamui open a hole to hit Madara. So he didn't just take Madara on by himself. I do believe that guy in 8th Gate is stronger than everybody I said before this, because he was able to actually inflict damage on Madara enough to almost kill him. And I forgot to mention there is another way to take on people that got the 10 tails or got 6 paths power, is with taijutsu. It just wasn't worth mentioning that nobody else could do it because nobody's taijutsu is on the level of guy in the 8th Gate, so it just wouldn't make sense to bring up. But with that being said, I think this is a good place for 8th Gate Guy. Stronger than everybody in the cast, just not stronger than the Sage of 6 Path members and the people with those jutsus and etc, etc. Now here I'm gonna put dual Mangekyo Sharingan Kakashi and Sasuke with this Rinnegan Sharingan with a 6 Path power. Now the reason why Sasuke isn't higher is because Inra's Arrow isn't Sasuke's base power when it comes to his 6 Path power. Like, of course with that amp he gets stronger, but that's not how he is on the reg, fighting Kaguya, fighting Madara. That was him stealing the Biju and even absorbing some chakra from Naruto and directly nerfing Naruto by taking the Biju away, so Naruto didn't have access to boil release or lava release or none of those things when he trapped those Bijus away, at least to the point where we don't see Naruto not wanting to use them. But he directly just took the Biju away and upped his power, but that's not how strong he is without the Bijus assisting him with absorbing their chakra. I think Kakashi getting the 6 pass buff, having both the phasing ability from the Mangekyo and the Kamui ability, and having Senjutsu power as well, it just makes him overall more buff than Sasuke in my opinion. He has way more hacks as well as having a Susanoo as well. I just think that he's a better version of what Sasuke can do, to be honest. The only thing you can say that Sasuke probably has better is just Shibaku Tensei obviously and having the teleportation ability, but I feel like Kakashi having his own time space ninjutsu also at that point, having a Susanoo, I would put him above Sasuke right here at this point. Next up, I obviously have Naruto with this Sage of 6 Paths power. We saw that by himself being likely nerfed from what Sasuke did, was still able to evenly go against Sasuke's strongest attack, Ender's Arrow, after absorbing power from the Tail Beast, and Naruto was still able to stalemate with this Sasuke in that battle when it comes to, you know, their most powerful attacks. I do believe that Naruto will be over Sasuke as well as Kakashi when it comes to DMS and Sage of 6 Paths power without absorbing from the Biju, because again, that's not Sasuke's power, that's him stealing power to get stronger, and I just don't think that's really fair to use here. But either way, Naruto was able to beat him or stalemate that attack, so it really wouldn't matter either way you slice the pie. Now next up, we have Rinne Sharingan 6 Paths Madara. Now I do believe that Sasuke and Naruto was going to able to beat him by themselves, like together as a duo. Kakashi would have got, you know, Sage of 6 Paths power as well with help from Obito, then it would just been a hard stomp. But by themselves one-on-one, I don't think nobody could take on Madara one-on-one at this point, at least not yet, being pretty much almost on the same power as the Sage of 6 Paths, or even over, because we saw with Madara only having one Rinnegan, the Sage of 6 Paths said that Madara is slowly approaching his power, and we saw that the Sage of 6 Paths never had a Rinne Sharingan, and Madara ended up getting another Rinnegan and a Rinne Sharingan on top of that, and having more limbos. So I do believe that Sasuke and Naruto would have been able to take them out together, but one-on-one, I don't think that's the case. And obviously next up, we have Kaguya, and it just made sense, quite frankly. Kaguya really did kind of lose the plot, because we even saw that they would have pretty much lost without Obito coming through with the dub, giving Kakashi 6 Paths power, and we saw that Kakashi played a really big role in that movement of events, you know, making sure that Sasuke and Naruto didn't get hit by the bone jutsu that Kaguya used, that if you just get hit, you pretty much disintegrate. And we just saw that Kaguya was just like a different type of force. Even Sasuke said that her chakra was way greater than Madara's. He couldn't even believe that somebody existed. So obviously one-on-one, I don't think nobody would beat her at this point, but all together, like what happened, very closely, they were able to beat Kaguya. But Kaguya just the pinnacle of Naruto Shippuden by the end of it, and I think that's pretty much seen and shown with, you know, them pretty much breaking their necks to literally beat her. And quite frankly, that she would have won if Obito didn't come in clutch and get Sasuke out of the dimension, and that allowed Sasuke to be able to fight with Naruto and eventually end up sealing her away with the help of Obito also giving Kakashi DMS. So it just made sense. Kaguya is top of the list. But if you guys enjoyed the video, this was a very long video, make sure you please put a thumbs up on it if you made it to all the way to the end. That shows that you really support me and supports the channel. So please drop a like as well as hype up the video. Make sure you comment down below as well any things you would change, and also make sure you subscribe, turn on post notifications. Out. I love you, man.